Livingstone, what made you want to work in education? What was it that inspired you to work in the classroom?
First of all, I finished my high school in 2011. So after that, I realized that I'll not be able to continue with further education because of some issues like financial issues. And the government had a certain target to sponsor students, and I didn't hit that target. So I was 2 points below the target. So I went to Nairobi in a place called Kibera. So when I went there, my aim was to look for a job and start working or do other things. So when I reached there, and Kibera being the second largest slum in the world, I found out that I can help with teaching. So it's from there that I entered into education system. So I started teaching students at a school in Kibera. Then in the process of teaching, that's when I realized my help is really needed in this slum. So I entered into education and started teaching.
Beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your work in Kibera. What steps did you take to connect your students in Kibera with classrooms all around the world?
Okay, so first of all, when I was there, I was introduced to a lady from New Hampshire. That was Tracy. So it was my first time to have a video call with somebody outside Kenya. So I was really fascinated, really happy to see that is it actually possible for one to have a talk with somebody who is very far, million miles away, and understand each other says you are doing. So it was from that perspective that I really thought, can it be possible for me, as now an educator in this school, connect my students to other educators or students anywhere in the world? Then I found that it is very, very possible. So it's from there that I joined other sites. I was introduced to different sites by my friends, Tracy being one of my friends. So I got Skype in the classroom, Penpal, and even Twitter itself. As an educator, you can follow other educators from there. You make that request of connecting students. So it was from there that I started now connecting these students to other educators and students, anybody willing outside there to either educate or share anything with the students that I was having in Kibera Slum. So it was the curiosity in me and the thing that I discovered possible to have a call with somebody. So I entered into it that way.
Beautiful. So what was then the thing that inspired you then to start HIPAfrica in Camille, and what steps did you take to get HIPAfrica started?
So I started I started teaching in Kibera 2012. So my duration in Kibera to 2014, then I was awarded that award being a young and innovative Skype master teacher. I feel that now that I've done this in Kibera, what about the students that in rural area? Can they also be given this opportunity to understand what goes on? Can they be given a platform to share what they have from the rural? So in the city, you can see it is possible for people to access few things which it is actually impossible for them to be accessed in rural area. One of them being technology. Technology, it is easier for kids that are in the city to have even television, phones, laptops, or whatever. When it comes to rural area, you'll find that it is difficult. So my thing that came in me to start HIPAfrica was to devolve this opportunity, to move it from the city and bring it in the rural area. That is when I started HIPAfrica in the rural area. With the help connectors, good people like Tracy, like Sullivan across the world, the idea came together. Then we started the connections on how these kids in the rural area, but that's what the international friends. But on the ground, now we want to come together as a community and find a place where this institution or center can be. So you find that one that was donated from the family. Then from there, we had to build a few classrooms and set up the center for these kids in this rural area.
Awesome. That is an incredible story. I guess one question I have is how did it feel? Like, describe how it felt to be awarded something like Skype Master Teacher of the Year. Did they call it? Did you find out that someone Skype you and tell you about that? What was that like?
Yeah, it was. I didn't understand what was going on, but I was invited to attend ISTE, that's International Society for Technology in Education, as a master teacher, as a Skype master teacher. So in that invitation by Microsoft, I was invited to attend. I applied the American visa 3 times, but it was denied. First it was denied. I had to put my things together again to go back. Then it was denied for no reasons. But the Microsoft kept on pushing me to apply for the third time. I did it. And then I said it is okay. As long as I'm still connected, I will do my presentation on the booth with other teachers like that was Michael Soskill and Smart Whiskey, and other educators. So I did my presentation through video conferencing. So I did not know what they had planned. But after that, the Microsoft team came together and told me they have a surprise. And that surprise was they had voted me as a young and inspirational Skype master teacher. It was really, really awesome to discover that I'm actually making a difference in the world by being that Skype master teacher, by doing what I'm doing. It was really awesome, but I didn't know what was going on until I was told. And actually, I'm so happy that it was a stepping stone for me.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
that's so amazing, and it is an award that is incredibly deserved. And I want to wish you congratulations one more time, because the work that you did not only in Kibera, but the work that you continue to do in community, I think is every bit, I think, the definition of someone who won Skype Master Teacher of the Year. So that's simply amazing, and congratulations again. Absolutely. So transitioning then from the Skype Master Teacher of the Year award, what partners, and you've talked a little bit about this, but I thought I would ask again. So as you transitioned from Kibera to Camille, what partners were so important to you as you got HIPAfrica started?
Oh yeah, so on the ground I can say, first it is the community. The community, first we got the land that was donated. Second, the community came in and gave us the support. You cannot start something in a community without the community support. You could be doing nothing. So when we started, we got the support from the community in building, the help in support where it's needed, also having us or trusting us with their kids. They gave us their kids, whereby now that was the starting point in 2015. We got the kids, they were about 12 in number that we started with. And we had teachers who were volunteering that time. We came in to volunteer before changes started coming on the way. We had 2 teachers who were volunteering. A cooker who was helping cook with to provide meals to our students and the teaching staff. On the seminar, we were having Fredrick, who was on the ground as a coordinator, who was coordinating the community, educators, the teachers, and the government on the side of making sure that we are on the right note. So it was the combination of the support from both sides. And when it comes to internationally, when we started, we had like chairs, tables, and teaching materials. So Sue Levine came in to support, whereby she donated some funds toward the school that helped in buying chairs, desks, water tank, installation of water, and other things. Then Tracy was on the ground to launch the center to start officially. During her launching, we had people from the ministry, from the government, who also supported what we had planned to start. And it is then that HIP Academy got started, HIPAfrica.
What happened when Kenya changed their zoning standards in October of 2016? And what steps were taken to build HIP's new classrooms to keep HIP open in the future?
So when the government changed a few things on the way, we as HIPAfrica, to keep up or being open to serve our kids, we had to follow their advice or the rules that they had presented to us. And that was, they gave us a few things to do at the center. And if we meet that standards, then we keep on teaching our students. The one thing was to have a washroom at the center. The second thing was the school compound to be fenced. And the third thing was to have classrooms that are at the standard that's needed by the government. And the fourth thing was to have qualified teachers. So that the four things outlined, if we meet and do as prescribed by the government, we were to proceed and keep on teaching our students. So the thing is, before we started anything, so we came together as the team HIPAfrica, then communicated the same message to Open World Course and other members that are supportive towards HIPAfrica's activity. So from there, we got the support that is needed by arranging platforms for fundraising, having video calls with other schools and explaining what was going on. And that helped us to have the washroom fence done. And then the Open World Course team visited us at HIPAfrica in Kenya. That was the Open World Course team of 7 members came in Kenya. That was in 2017. Then they assessed everything on the ground and they wrote a report. They visited the government office to make sure that everything that was said, it is actually the thing that needs to be done. They had a meeting with the community and got information from the members of the community too. They had a meeting with teachers and they collected information that is needed that could help the Open World Course team and members to fundraise towards this classroom project, as it was huge and it needed the support of so many people. So it's from there that now we got funds for the classrooms and we started building them. It was in 2018 February. We started building the classrooms and they are done. As we are talking, students at HIP Academy are seated in the new classrooms block. It's very, very conducive, very nice. It's big in size. It can accommodate more than 40 students. There is that good movement of teacher in the classroom. There's enough space. Everything is installed. As we are talking, the school is now on and running, and we have teachers that are qualified and are helping the school in educating these awesome students.
Beautiful. It makes me so happy to hear about the students and hear about their classwork. So after you were able to get the classrooms, washroom, and the fencing installed and get your staff of new teachers, when the government officials visited, what was their reaction to the new structures you had on HIPAfrica's campus?
Government officials pulled in at our center about 8 a.m. before we go to assembly and then break to our classroom. So they pulled in when we were preparing to go to the assembly and have announcements and anything. When they pulled in, first of all, they were amazed to see the new classroom block shining from the other end of the field. And he was so happy with his assistants that he even didn't want to go to the office to sign the visitors book. He wanted, first of all, to step in the new classrooms and have that feel and see how big in size it is, how arranged it is. So when he entered the new classrooms, he saw it was so nice, well arranged. The blackboard was very smooth and nice. The classroom itself, it had new chairs for the students, and he asked how many kids are going to be in this new classroom, and we told him the number of students that are going to use that new classroom block, and we explained everything as it was designed, that in the front of the classrooms we are going to have 2 switches for electricity that will allow students to use the projector and the laptop and anything that could allow them to have a video conferencing with their friends across the globe. Also, when the government releases the new syllabus that they are going to record them in the compact disc, we'll be playing them from there so that they can view it from the projector and other things of the classroom, and everything that is needed by the government. The size itself, it was big, ventilation nice, furnitures inside, they are well arranged, and they were happy for it.
Beautiful. It makes me so happy to hear about that. We've talked a lot about your experiences in schools, going all the way back to Kibera in 2012, to you starting HIP, to you overcoming, working with HIP's administrators to overcome the adversity that you faced in 2016 through 2017. But in all that time, you were working, you were dedicating yourself to work with students. So what have been some of your favorite experiences working with students? Some of the things that have made you really happy working with students in both Kibera and at HIPAfrica?
Oh, wow. It's a great question. First of all, what I like about students or these young kids is that they are innocent and they are ready to learn anything and everything. As long as you give them good content, they are ready for it. And as educators, we need to choose good contents to share with students, good platforms that we can teach students to use, not to show anything that is not good for them. So when we are sharing that, you will find that they are eager to learn. Even if you tell them, hey, prepare a song we want to share with other students anywhere, be it in Australia, UK, US, Canada, they will ask, which type of those songs do they want? Is it a Swahili song or we do our vernacular song? And you will give them a platform to brainstorm among themselves. So when they brainstorm among themselves, they'll come up with a song and they perform it freely. And when they're asked questions, they're ready to share. Like, what do you eat? What do you have at home? What do you have at school? What do you do after school? What, anything, they are ready to share. So my biggest moment with these kids is being with them, learning with them, playing with them, Skyping with them, having Google Hangouts with them. They are so jovial. And I can tell to my friends across the globe, to my fellow educators, to the students that have been teaching Swahili and other things, that thank you so much for giving my students the platforms to learn from them and having your good time to teach my students anything that you have taught. In Kibera, my kids were learning Mandarin. They are being taught Mandarin from a Chinese teacher, and they were learning. They could say hi, greetings, like Xie Shen Hong, Ni Hauma in those Mandarin language, and they were happy with it. In return, they were teaching Swahili. So we have a lot of activities that have been going on, and together we are arranging for more activities from next semester.
So, final question. What are your future hopes for HIPAfrica? What can help give your students the best education possible?
Okay, first of all, if you talk about future for HIPAfrica, we have a very, very big, huge plan for these kids in this rural area. But the thing is, we are moving step by step. One, we have a center that right now it is working, since we have a classroom block and we can accommodate a good number of students with qualified teachers. Now, the thing is to have a good, awesome computer lab for these students how to start learning, computing, and doing other things, coding, having the calls from their friends across the globe and doing other things. For our dream is to have a computer lab that is working, and to have more teachers as the population increases with time. Also to have more classrooms since the population is going on. We receive new students yearly. So when 2019 starts in January, we are expecting more students, and we cannot say no to these students because they know that HIPAfrica is a place to be, and it's a place for them to get good education that is best. And the government itself is talking about having digital literacy in schools, and our center, we are doing the same. We are having digital literacy, but now the thing is we need a computer lab that can accommodate students and to have a free teaching nicely. Also to have to start having agricultural center whereby these students can learn more skills in farming and do other things whereby they can practice the same when they go back at home. As other things come on the way, because we also need to have library center or a nice place to keep books whereby they can go in and read storybooks at their own time, or have help from the librarian in accessing the books and other things. So the plan is really big, but we are going step by step. Currently, we are on having the school and the computer lab as other things unfolds with time. And in helping these students have good education at the center, we are having sometimes issue with the learning materials and classroom supplies like books, writing materials, anything that's needed to make these students be seated in the classrooms and enjoy their education without a problem. We also at the center we have a problem with the food. You can find that we can have food for a certain period of time, then we go another time with no food, so it becomes hectic. And these students are well settled in classrooms when their stomach is full, but when it is empty, they cannot concentrate while education, while teaching is going on. They cannot concentrate. So you find that food becomes an issue, something that we need to deal with. And lastly, after learning, during recess time, they need things to play with. So you find that they need material, things like swings, game kits, balls to play with. And that one is really also needed on the ground, which can help us do something. And I would like to say thank you so much to the Open All Course team. Thank you so much to the educators in different schools that have been arranging fundraising programs in support of HIPAfrica to stay open. It is so amazing to see students as young as they are coming up with fundraising projects to support their colleagues in Africa that they have never met, but they usually do video calls and at least have the good moments with them. So it is a huge step and thing that they have done to our students in Mukoyoni at HIPAfrica in Kenya.
Excellent. We are honored to be partnered with you. And I know that's a feeling that's shared with so many of your partners around the world.